Agent Morris with the NSA.
We have identified some very, very interesting anomalous type of aircraft.
Traffic is quite luminous and is exhibiting some non-ballistic motion. Over.
Move very rapidly at any speed or whether any direction it wanted to go. Why it could change and go to the right or the left or go crossways without hesitating a bit.
What do you think it was?
Well, if they call it a flying saucer, that's what it is.
EWA 517, do you want to report a UFO? Over. Negative. We don't want to report.
Look, it wasn't my worst Wednesday night.
Good evening, everybody. This is Smiles Lewis, and you are tuned into another live edition of Anomaly Now, live from Austin, Texas. This is the weekly news roundup show from 7 to 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Wednesday nights, brought to you by the 501c3 nonprofit Anomaly Archives, aka Scientific Anomaly Institute. And we are flying solo again tonight. We look forward to seeing our friend Mark Jackson back here again soon, our co-host. And we're not actually going to have any of our guests for this Saturday on tonight, but you should definitely be prepared for a really awesome final lineup of Anomaly Archives Streamathon content coming up this weekend. We have a great bunch of stuff for you again, and that includes a wide variety of material. Oh, let's my eyes aren't what they used to be. I can't see that. Okay, yeah, here we go. So we just posted this earlier this afternoon. Finally have the schedule after a wild and woolly stream last week. A great content, fantastic presentations, and fantastic after dark virtual drive-in theater. But coming up this Saturday, December 26th, this will be the sixth and final Streamathon fundraiser for 2020 for the Anomaly Archives, and we are still trying to raise that $20,000, and we are still we're almost up to 1,100, but it's closer to 10,500. We'll see what the actual number is in just a second here, but tune in this weekend. We welcome Tim Banal, who will be giving a discussion, The People of the Flat Earth, the history of a very odd conspiracy theory, at 1:15 p.m. all time Central Standard Time. And we'll be doing a live conversation. My friend David Perkins and I will be talking about an idea of his that also is very resonant to my own, and that is the Gaian mind aspect or hypothesis concerning UFOs, with a talk called UFOs, Cattle Mutilations, and the Gaian Mind. And it's actually going to be more of just a relaxed discussion. David and I have a lot of similar feelings about the nature of the phenomenon, and while we don't necessarily subscribe to any one hypothesis exclusively, this is one that we keep coming back to over and over again that I think the audience will find interesting. And then at 3:30 p.m., my good friend Susan Lepselter will be presenting on Dreaming Across Cultures. She is a phenomenal anthropologist who teaches in Indiana, and whom I know from back in the 1990s Austin anomaly scene, and looking forward to her talk. And then at 4:30 p.m., we have a pre-recorded presentation from our good friend Susan Demeter, who is over in Italy. And so she, with the help of her husband Massimo, who also produced some music and video for the first week's Streamathon, she has produced a video lecture on spook lights as places of paranormal pilgrimage. Now, Susan is a very fascinating person and has very interesting ideas about the nature of these strange phenomena, and is very much a pluralist when it comes to the wide variety of possible explanations. And then coming up at 5:15 p.m., Daniel Allen Jones, another fellow Texan, will be talking about Myth OS as an operating system, mythical operating system, investigating simulation theory, non-human intelligence, and unexplained phenomena. Daniel really gets around. In fact, he, I believe, was an accidental participant at the inaugural Paramania in the Dallas-Fort Worth area back in 2016, and I think that's how he kind of worked his way into our little cadre of friends and fellow researchers, and he's just been producing a great amount of content, and got to see him again in 2017 at Roswell, and just around, like he showed up in Austin for a Austin MUFON presentation a couple of years ago. Great guy. And then at 6:30 p.m., Stephanie Quick is going to be giving a talk, Interrogating My Near-Death Experience, the Aftermath of Mystical Awakening. And at 7 p.m., Nikita Kranda is going to be giving a talk, I Saw Something Weird, a conversation about regular people experiencing something they couldn't explain. And then we've got an exciting double feature, folks. We're going to have an introductory talk with the director, my good friend Ken Adams, who is a visual artist, visual artist, who is also a good longtime friend of Terrence McKenna, who produced many a video with Terrence, and this one, Imaginatrix, the Terrence McKenna experience, has a very amazing story behind its inception that is recounted by Ken in our introduction. And then afterwards, okay, folks, I haven't really talked this up much, but back right after I got out of high school, my best friends and I created a low budget video movie. It's about 45 minutes of incredible dreck, but I love it. And there's a lot of great stuff about it and a lot of great people in it. I often describe it as the Slacker meets a science fiction horror movies like Amazon Women on the Moon and Kentucky Fried Movie. If you know anything about those movies, you know that they feature fake movie trailers and just strange skit comedy. While there's less comedy other than just in the execution of this film, it wasn't intended to be a completely straight performance. But anyway, we're going to be showing it. It's never been seen in the public's eye before. And despite my friend who wrote and directed it really not wanting me to play it, I'm going to play it. So that'll be starting at 10 p.m., a special screening of Tim, as we called it, TIM Cubed, The Incredible Midnight Movie Massacre. Ooh, scary. Anyway, over at the anomalyarchives.org website, you can find links to all the past streams of this multi-streamathon Saturday event. We are at $10,698. Anyway, so moving right along, I'm going to play a few select clips, nothing too long, but just to recap some of the fun and amazing stuff that we've had at these streamathons the past a few weeks. So without further ado, here we go. For those of you not familiar with myself or the Anomaly Archives that I founded in 2003, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, the Scientific Anomaly Institute, aka Anomaly Archives. In 2003, I founded the organization with about 1,000 books that I donated as the starting foundational collections of the Anomaly Archives. It is established with the mission and goals of preservation of research materials, not just popular literature, but more importantly, perhaps, is our total collection, which is over 7,000 titles now. These range from subjects such as Atlantis and alchemy to cryptozoology, as I mentioned, Fortiana after Charles Fort, magic, conspiracy, parapolitics, and of course, some of my favorites, parapsychology and its sub areas of the paranormal, ghost hunting and ghost investigations, hauntings, poltergeist, but even more so, the subject of UFOs, which you'll be hearing a lot about over the next several weeks. Some of the things that we'll be doing over the next hours and days and weeks is introducing you to aspects of the Anomaly archives, the different collections that we house, and why we think we're a worthy cause for you to donate to. One of the things that I'm going to be showing y'all is our Streamathon Counter, our pledge counter. And our goal, of course, this year is to raise $20,000. That is our annual budget. But right now, we're right at about $260. As you can see there on the right, little Patty, the Bigfoot, is being beamed aboard the flying saucer. As we raise funds, she will be raised up into the saucer. I'd like to introduce our first presenter, and that is Ed Conroy.
Thank you, Smiles, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. And I want to join with Smiles in thanking everybody who has helped and thanking you in advance, just thanking you for being here. I'm proud and I'm happy that Smiles and the other board members of Anomaly Archives invited me to join their ranks and help to grow what I consider to be really a vitally important organization for us. I thank you then for your presence, and I'm sure that you're going to have many fascinating experiences watching what will be an excellent array of presentations by the authors and experts who have volunteered to give you a taste of the extraordinary information in the archives. The Anomaly Archives are a resource for you and people like you who care about the preservation of knowledge about the anomalies, wisdom traditions, and paranormal phenomena of our world, and the dissemination of that knowledge to the next generation. Anomaly Archives exists not as a pristine collection of esoteric knowledge hidden away in a monastery like the labyrinthine library in Umberto Eco's Name of the Rose. No, it exists to be shared, to be used by all of us and many others. Thank you all very much.
I am so excited to bring on Zelia Edgar. Hey, Zelia, how are you doing?
Hey, fine, thank you. Well, I'm very excited to be here today. So yeah, thank you so much for inviting me on. I feel very fortunate that I've grown up having it be almost normalized, the paranormal, as opposed to being something that simply isn't talked about. And yeah, so I have had this just lifelong interest in the unexplained, and I've been seriously researching it for over a decade now. In that time, I have served as the Wisconsin State Director and a certified field investigator for the Wisconsin Mutual UFO Network. And so today, I'm actually going to be discussing something which definitely blurs the lines between these different fields of research, and that is the Orb Phenomenon. And so what are orbs exactly? They're really just kind of a subset of the more general anomalous luminous phenomena. The first thing that people think of when they hear the word orbs is they think of ghost orbs. And unfortunately, when they think of ghost orbs, they're not actually thinking about orbs at all. They're thinking about those photos of dust motes, condensation, unfortunately bugs. I think that probably the next field that's most closely associated with the orb phenomena would be the UFO field, and with good reason. Right now, the National UFO Reporting Center currently has over 7,000 cases labeled as fireballs. However, orbs are also spotted in conjunction with cryptids. One great account, of course, is Momo, the infamous Missouri monster, which was observed in Louisiana, Missouri in the summer of 1972. Kind of move into spooklight territory. Spooklights, of course, are these recurrent sightings of these balls of light, which happen in many different places, such as the Gurdon light in Arkansas. It's this multicolored light which is seen to bob up and down a railway and has been observed for years. So, yeah, orbs, I mean, they are just, I think that they are heavily associated, again, with ghosts and UFOs, not so much with cryptids, but they're just prevalent and ever present across these different fields. And so that pattern is definitely something to focus on.
We think of these things as anomalous, thus the Anomaly Archives, like, oh, it's unusual to see or experience these strange phenomena. But what really, we're the normal archives, actually, is what we should be called, because these things actually seem to be very normal. Yes, indeed. And there were so many other great presentations that day, including the epic presentation by Paul Kimball talking about his work on Haunted, the Canadian TV paranormal investigation series that he did. Here is a
so I'm standing there
clip from
and
that.
are walking along the bridge rather, and I hear footsteps behind me. Sorry, I skipped the lead in. So I start to hear footsteps on the cobblestones behind me. Yeah, okay. So I turn around to see if there's anybody walking behind me. I'm actually kind of hoping there is, because if it's a human being, well, that's a good thing. If I don't see anything, that's not a good thing. So I turn around, I don't see anything, but I feel something. So I spin around, nobody there, footsteps stop, and then boom, a force on my shoulder, and I know it well. I might have done it once or twice when I was working with the police, when a cop grabs you by the shoulder kind of thing. And that is exactly what I felt. So my reaction, this is the only time I can pretend to be a ghost hero or tough guy, is I turn around, because even though I think I'm being followed by shadow demons or whatever, for all I know, somebody could have snuck up and maybe I'm getting mugged. So I'm still partly in that world. So I spin around, plant myself like I'm going to have to pop somebody. There's nobody there. There's nobody making footsteps. So they spin me one direction, then I get on the shoulder, spin me the other direction, nobody. So as the kids say, I booked. I ran. I don't care who was in Chesky Krumlov that night that saw me running through the streets of Chesky. I actually kind of got lost briefly. I just, boom, off the bridge. I'm going back wherever the Wizard's Castle is, or a police station, or whatever, a bus to Prague, whatever I can find. That's where I'm headed.
And there is so much more of interest in his talk, which led into actual 4 full-on episodes of Haunted, the TV series. But yeah, we had such great content that day. That was our first Streamathon, November 21st. And it started with a welcome from me, and then our keynote speech from Ed Conroy. You saw a clip from Ed being our latest board member and the author of the truly fantastic report on communion. Of course, then you saw clips from Zelia Edgar, and we played a video from Massimo Teodarani with his ambient music. You can hear that separately and in high fidelity by going to our YouTube channel. We also had a presentation by Texas cryptozoologist Ken Gerhard. You can find all the archives of this are at our website, and that links through to our YouTube archive. A fascinating presentation by Walter Bosley on Delshau, the airship mystery, and his ideas about the NIMSA legacy connected to Delshau's reporting on the NIMSA group. And then there was that Paul Kimball presentation, Ghosts, Shadow Beings, Demons, and Other High Strangeness on Canada's East Coast, which, as I say, led into phenomenal showing of 4 episodes of Haunted. Great stuff. Really just so thankful that Paul gave us access to that, and it's still there. But those full episodes of Haunted will be going away. So if you haven't watched them, go to the YouTube archives, search through, find the original long Streamathon episode parts, because they will be going away at the end of this Streamathon. I'm not saying exactly when, but the end of the Streamathon is this Saturday. So folks, go see Haunted and support all of these speakers, and there's more to come. So coming up are some clips from day 2. That was just day 1 of this 6-day extravaganza. So here is a clip from our first speaker on our second weekend.
Okay. Antonio Rivera, who is the man in the center, he was a true Renaissance man. He was quite probably the most important ufologist in Spain, and certainly the most famous one among the English-speaking members of the UFO field. He wrote dozens of books, not just about UFOs, but also about submarine exploration and science fiction novels, including at least 4 books devoted entirely to the Humo affair. The first one being the one shown to the left of your screen, A Perfect Case, or Un Caso Perfecto, first published in 1969. This man spoke and wrote in 6 languages. He was very smart. But as my friend Michael M. Hughes, who is, among other things, he's a professional magician, he once told me that the problem is that the smarter the man, the easier he is to fool. This is something that magicians use to their advantage. Okay, the man to the right, Rafael Farriols, was a respected, bright, and wealthy industrialist from Barcelona who had successfully applied his studies in chemistry in order to make his company one of the biggest exporters of acrylic plastic in all of Europe. He was interested in things like horse breeding, philosophy, photography, but the reason why we are remembering him today is because of his active interest in UFOs. So Rivera and Farriols started to investigate the story and wrote about it, judging it a perfect case. Well, hence the title of their book. And this was actually a reference to J. Allen Hynek, the Close Encounters man, who had always hoped for a perfect case to finally arrive to meet the harsh standards of the skeptic community. And if you ask me, it's kind of like a tall order saying, this is the one. This is the silver bullet we were hoping for. But, that's what Rivera and Farriols did. And interestingly enough, in the book, Rivera and Farriols omitted any reference to the letters received by Sesma and his Madrid group.
Again, this is a phenomenal presentation by Miguel Romero, aka RPJ Red Pill Junkie, who did that awesome artwork for our new merch store, which features all these different characters. You can see an even better close-up right there. Miguel is an amazing artist, and this was his first presentation, not this particular presentation, but a month or so ago, he did this presentation, or an abbreviated version of it, for the the Strange Realities Conference 2 by our good friends Adam Sane and the Conspiranormal podcast. Anyway, you should go and check out that entire presentation. It's over an hour long and is really fantastic and very informative about the UMO case, which not everybody is very familiar with. But it's one of these cases that went on for a long time, involved a wide variety of phenomena that are often associated with the UFO phenomenon. Am I scaring you yet with the scare quotes? No, just by being me. Okay. Another fantastic presentation was the one right after that one on our second week, and that is by Professor Wham. Oh my gosh, this is such an important presentation, and her work, her dissertation is so important. But here's just a very quick excerpt from the very beginning of this.
The action was what I had witnessed. Now, the next day, there was supposed to be at this conference, there was supposed to be this, or there is, I think they still do this, there was this large kind of auditorium-sized group meeting. So all the different contactee groups would get together and they'd sort of have this large mass meeting where people who had not had an opportunity to tell their stories in any of these smaller groups, if they signed up, they could tell this entire large group their contactee story. So, I went to that, and this was more of a public meeting. So the first 2 or 3 people stood up, and they shared pretty standard contactee experiences, including various spiritual or prophetic messages that they had gotten from their contactors. And then this woman got up. She was an older woman. She had a very slight accent, but I couldn't place it. And she began to tell the story of the time that she had been awakened in the middle of the night and taken away by tall strangers dressed in odd uniforms. They had taken her and her sister. She didn't know where her parents were. They had stripped, she and her sister were stripped naked and subjected to humiliating, seemingly medical exams that actually had some sexual content before being marked in a particularly painful way. So everybody was sort of on the edge of their seat waiting for her to reveal the message from the superior alien masters, because that's how all the other narratives had been. And then suddenly she said, yes, and I still wear the scars of that mark today. And she rolled up her sleeve, and on her arm was the numbered tattoo of the brand given her as a child by the Nazi soldiers who had captured her and her family and taken her and her sister to a concentration camp. Now, she had not been ranting at these, She had been building up to this point in the story, and then she went on and very quietly, it was really startling how she did this quietly with intensity, not ranting at anybody, but she basically excoriated the crowd. She said, "It's not that I don't believe that many of you have had these contactee experiences," she said, "but I have issue with the implied messages that many of you are delivering about saving genetic material and that a superior race somehow needs your DNA." And she observed that many of them, most of them in the room, were white. And she said, "How do you know that you aren't playing right into a story that has been foisted on us before?" And I mean, you could have heard a pin drop. And I just sat there and went, whoa, listening to her. And people didn't really know what to say. And then so she got down off the podium and left. And there were these couple women that were sitting behind me, and they were muttering to each other. I could overhear them. And one of them said, "Oh, poor dear, she's obviously had a really hard time," in a really patronizing way. I had personally found her to be really articulate. And there was something about what she said that connected to what I had witnessed in the previous room. And so the seeds of this dissertation were born. Now, I didn't begin to write about it until the fall of 2000, and that was after about 6 more years of research. And by that time, I had amassed a wealth of material. So this is what I found. Yes, and he's got the first slide up there.
A fantastic presentation, which did attract a little bit of attention. At least one online personality wrote up a brief review of her presentation, commenting on how powerful and interesting it was. So, way to go, Professor Wham. The rest of that day was filled with even more great stuff. There's, of course, RPJ's lecture, Professor Wham's. We had an extended lecture from Brent Rains on the myths and mysteries of the UFO Matrix. He, of course, is the author of a book on John Keel and has been long researching and still continues to investigate and publish on these subjects. And due to a schedule mishap where the next presenter was not able to attend, Brent went long, did great, and also let me play a video of his interviewing folks at one of the past Mothman festivals. And then, of course, we had Canadian ufologist Chris Rutkowski, who has donated his collection to the University of Manitoba to archive his personal archives and collection, and is very much preserving the legacy of his efforts at investigating the UFO phenomena. And then we had a special screening by Craig Baldwin's fantastically strange mashup of found footage, but with some actual shot footage of A Strange Tale about Jack Parsons, L. Ron Hubbard, Aleister Crowley, and many others. A very fun romp called Mock-Up-On Moo. Yes, I highly recommend you watch that if you missed it. Go check that out. Again, won't be there very much longer, so enjoy it while you can. Meanwhile, so we moved on to the third day, which featured even more great content, including my introduction and Don Webb on the Egyptian concept of the soul. Don is an amazingly interesting fellow who writes a lot of dark fiction and is no stranger to the left-hand path of the esoteric and occult, as the former head of the Temple of Set. And then we had a very epic presentation by Dr. Greg Little, The Mystery of American Mounds and Earthworks, that was phenomenal and fantastic, and I highly recommend it. And then an even more amazing presentation by Joshua Cutchin, Stock and Trade, Expressions of the Changeling Motif in Alien Hybrid Lore. Fantastic stuff. We then had an extended intermission that actually featured a rare presentation from Adam Gorightly, our good friend, the crackpot historian, on were the early UFO contactees ritual magicians. This was presented at a event organized by Skylar Alphagren of the League of Western Fortean Intermediatists, Lo-Fi, their little mini-con in October 2008 in Los Angeles. And then we also played some awesome visual art by Ken Adams and much more. And then we had a great presentation by Paul H. Smith, former military remote viewer, on religious, mystical, and out-of-body experiences, how science thinks it has explained them, and why science is wrong. Good stuff. And then we showed a clip of, we showed the entirety of Remote Viewing Memories by the director, Garrett Harkowick, who would be our guest the following week. This is a great little found footage documentary featuring lots of footage of Ed Dames, the infamous remote viewer. And then we also played some more Alien Dreamtime from Ken Adams featuring Terrence McKenna, and this great presentation from Joseph Green on why the state hates conspiracy, and ended it with this great interviews with the creators of The Hill in the Hole, as well as one of the actors in it, Adam Goat-Rightly. And we've got some clips from those things there, and we're coming up right now. Here is...
Because the real condition of human beings is we can have a lot of different thoughts going on, and impulses and moralities, and being pulled in a lot of directions. If you have a polypsychism, say that word again, polypsychism, meaning you think you're made out of a lot of different parts, then you can understand your existence just plain better. Now, warrior societies, as the late Dr. Stephen Polome used to point out, tend to be polypsychic. In other words, there are a lot of parts of yourself, visible and invisible, that do different things. And you can become aware of how some of these different parts act within you. It's a major reason why there's a lot of good things to look at the Egyptian model. Let's look at another aspect of the Egyptian model. In some cultures, particularly those that are attractive to esoteric practitioners, let's say the many different religions that come out of India.
Not sure why. But this has been a mystery for a long time, why they did this. Here's another place where they did it. In this case, there's 12 arranged in a circle. This is from Ohio. Again, out of the Smithsonian this comes. And this one's really interesting because the top three individuals had their heads severed, and the skeleton and the skulls were placed between the legs. Now, I have measured these, and these three skeletons that have the heads placed between the legs are much taller than everyone else. I don't know what that means. In the Kanawha River Valley, there is a mound in South Charleston, and this is the display, the archaeological display off of that. And again, you have one large 7 to 8 foot tall skeleton in the center, and then it is encircled by a series of other skeletons. Once again, it's a great mystery. Nobody really knows precisely what that's about. Here's another mound in South Charleston. Ancient Aliens did a show and went to this site. When this was excavated by the Smithsonian, there were two 7-foot skeletons excavated. When I say 7 feet, I mean 7 feet and above.
There's obviously another side of the production story, Smiles, that would take probably a podcast series to get into some of the risks and gambles. But I mean, I think it paid off at the end of the day. I mean,
well, it was pretty crazed. I've never been in, never did this before, but it was like the principal shooting, I guess you call it, was a week and a half. Mm-hmm. And we were in filming in 3 different states, and we'd finish filming one place, and it's like a rock and roll band going to the next show, drive 250 miles through a storm, and
monsoon season.
Punk rock tour van filmmaking.
The Hill in the Hole was supposed to be like our mainstream project. Like, this was supposed to appeal to normies, our parents or something like that. We thought that's what this was, and it wasn't until we put it on Amazon last friend that we were like, no, we did not we did not quite accomplish that aim. But this is as A to B as I think we could possibly get. We might be able to push it, with something else. No idea, but yeah, Chris and I have long debated the merits of Michael Mann's Miami Vice.
I think I've come around to that I like that. No, it's funny that the Twin Peaks stuff. I mean, I think you're totally right about that, Smiles. Like Bill and I have talked about this too, and I think I've talked about this before, with some people that especially if you read Twin Secret History written by Mark Frost, and I think it was really Mark Frost who brought a lot of this into it. David Lynch definitely has the sort of the influence that I think comes from more Vedic, cosmology, and certainly his interest in like transcendental meditation. But yeah, Mark Frost is writing stuff that in many ways is like Kenneth Grant fan fiction. And if anybody doesn't know Kenneth Grant, he was essentially like an acolyte of Aleister Crowley, and he was writing these books that were essentially linking H.P. Lovecraft mythos in a real like magic with a K way to sort of Crowleyan, these Typhonian current of like real ceremonial magic that was tying in with, everything from UFOs to like New Age stuff. I mean, Kenneth Grant throws the kitchen sink in there. And
Indeed. Oh man, that is a great discussion before and after the showing of The Hill and the Hole. I hope you'll go check that out. And they've released that on Blu-ray now. So if you've not seen it, please go buy it and support them and all the other speakers from this and all the other Streamathons. Moving right along real quickly here to the December 12th, the fourth week of Streamathon. We had these amazing presentations from Michael Hughes, Aaron Gullius, Micah Hanks, Ed Conroy, a special screening of my lecture on my own mystery hum experience, which led into a brief introduction by Steve Colhayes, who is the mystery hum experiencer in Connecticut, who has come up with what he calls the GPS hypothesis, the gas pipeline syndrome hypothesis, about the nature of the mystery hum and what he thinks is the source. And then we aired this fantastic documentary by director Garrett Harkowitz called Doom Vibrations, with guests Garrett Harkowitz and Steve Colhayes. Great conversation before and after that as well. Just fantastic stuff there. You can go see all the links there. We only have a couple of real quick clips. I was running out of time before tonight's show, but what did I just do? There we go. And here is a couple of quick clips.
Much. I've spent a lot of time. I've spent a good part of my life working with tarot, studying tarot, and there's just a lot of BS out there. So we're going to address some of that, and hopefully you learn something, or maybe you might get a little, angry because it's something you believe for a long time. But I do have a disclaimer, so let's get forward. Let's get towards that. Okay, here. And let's go. First of all, disclaimer. That is, much of what you're about to see and hear is an opinion. Tarot reading is an art, not a science. You are free to disagree with my opinions, but the historical information in this presentation is backed by rigorous academic research. Also, naughty words ahead. I'll try to keep them at a minimum. So my story, I discovered tarot back around 1976-ish when I picked up this James Bond 007 tarot deck, which I still have to this day.
Really appreciate it. Folks can go to michaelmhughes.com and or you can go to our website and find the links there as well. And of course, he's got a number of books, fiction and nonfiction, that you can purchase to help support Michael's work. And really, just thank you so much, Michael. I look forward to
support this guy here. Support all the great work he does. So
thank you.
Please, I'm going to make a contribution, and I hope you guys will too. And thank you for letting me help with this, because it's a great cause. So.
Really appreciate it. Loss of knowledge. And so when we try to document the history of a phenomenon, very much like the Anomaly Archives does, documenting all kinds of things, preserving historical records, collections, personal collections, people's actual personal book collections, their files, their own original research, these kinds of things. That information, if it can be preserved, it can be useful to future decades. Maybe future scientists who are more open-minded or who have had less exposure to an establishment worldview that prevents them from really seeing the benefit of and the merit of the study of these kinds of topics. And if we can preserve that information right now, if we can do what the Anomaly Archives, if it can continue, as I know it will, if we can preserve the information in the way that they are doing, maybe there will be future generations that will be able to do even more with what we're collecting and learning about today than we've been able to do. That's my hope, at least. And so before we really get into this lecture, I really implore people at home, if you have not yet, please consider supporting this endeavor. Please donate to the Anomaly Archives here with the Streamathon. Smiles and the gang have very graciously given of themselves, given incredible amounts of free content. And they've gotten other people, including myself, Aaron before me, and all kinds of other folks who have been contributors, who have given our time. Please consider supporting this effort, because again, it really may mean great importance to our own future and those who come well after us. If we are able to take that action today, it really means a lot.
Thank you, Micah, and thank you, everybody else. So those are just some of the clips from the first 4 weeks. I didn't get the chance to make any clips for last week's December 19th, the week 5 Streamathon, but there is so much great content. All the full lectures are available at our YouTube channel. You can go there and see all of them. They're grouped into playlists by day, as well as just a full-on playlist of all the Streamathon content. There, of course, is the list of participants. We did last weekend, sadly, for a variety of very personal reasons, a number of our speakers had to cancel at the last minute, but we did the best we can, and it actually turned out all right, thankfully. But we had a fantastic presentation by my friends Naomi and Richie West on the Mandela Effect and an eyewitness account of future memory. That was just fantastic. I really highly recommend that to you all. And this update about the Stanton Friedman archives from the Provincial Archives of New Brunswick up in Canada. They produced a video for the Streamathon to help us in our fundraising that gives an update on the Stanton Friedman archives. It's a phenomenal archive there at the Provincial Archives of New Brunswick, and highly recommend you go check out that video. And there's also a little small video before it that's the same people doing more or less the same thing in a condensed format for the local public library system. And then, of course, a great presentation by my good friend Greg Bishop, Flying Saucers in the Right Brain, What Art Can Teach Us About the UFO Enigma. And we also aired a pre-recorded interview that I'd done earlier in the week by with Professor Jeff Kripal about the imminent launch. It was supposed to happen back in October, November of this year, but it's going to happen, well, a little later due to the current crisis. They themselves are experiencing, of course, great turbulence from this current crisis. But that's a fantastic presentation. Just discussion with Jeff Kripal. And you can see he was having a good time. I really had a wonderful time finally getting to meet him face to face, even if it was virtually over the internet. And a fantastic presentation from Twee Snyder, Great Texas Airship Mystery of 1897. She is such a sweetie, and she was sporting one of the t-shirts from the RPJ merch store that features the Anomaly Archives design that Red Pill Junkie did for us. That is awesome. Nikita was not able to join us, but she is rescheduled for this coming Saturday. And then we had this fantastic presentation, screening of Love and Saucers, a documentary by director Brad Abrahams. We had a great discussion beforehand and after. I highly recommend you go check out that interview. He and I discussing his work on Love and Saucers, as well as this new project, one of the many TV series he's working on called Keep Folklore Alive. This one also subtitled Telos or Bust, about Mount Shasta and the inner earth and all the ideas surrounding that fun bunch of craziness. And when I say craziness, again, I mean that in the most friendly way. I find all this stuff fascinating, and I certainly don't generally mean to deride anybody who has beliefs that are different from mine, though sometimes I can't help it. All right. Well, so you saw those clips that we played of Michael Hughes and Micah Hanks. MH? Just content. Anyway, as we have mentioned, we have coming up this Saturday, December 26th schedule. I'll go over that just in a minute, but one more last thing. So this last weekend, we launched a fantastic series of donor gifts. We have some friends, supporters of the Anomaly Archives who have made some amazing offers for those donating above a certain amount. So watch carefully, and if you qualify, send us a receipt for your donation, and you could get some of this great stuff. Hello, everyone. This is Smiles Lewis with the Anomaly Archives, here to tell you about some wonderful donation gifts we have for potential donors to today's Streamathon from supporters of the Anomaly Archives. We have a plethora of options here. For donors of $25 or more, you can choose a special-made kitchen towel with one of 4 para-themed designs, which we'll show you in just a second. This is not one of those designs. However, this is an example of what we mean by kitchen towel. And again, that design is not available. But if you donate $25 or more, you can get a kitchen towel. If you donate $50 or more, you can choose a special-made tote bag with one of the 4 para-themed designs that we'll show you momentarily. Or if you donate $75 or more, you can receive a special-made kitchen towel and tote bag with a para-themed design. The 4 para-themed designs are as follows. Please indicate them in your email to us. Design number 1 is the alien baby, and please refer to these by their number. So whether you want the towel or a tote bag, depending upon what you donate, you can select the alien baby for the design, or you can select number 2, which is You Are Not Alone, the alien in a UFO design. Again, that's option number 2, alien in UFO design. The third design available for the towel or tote is this awesome dark Bigfoot stitching looking silhouette. That's number 3, is the dark Bigfoot design. And the final last design is design number 4, Bigfoot Believes in You. That's number 4, Bigfoot Believes in You, for your tote or towel. Again, donors of $25 or more can choose a kitchen towel with one of those 4 designs. Donors of $50 or more can choose the tote bag with one of those 4 para-themed designs, and donors of $75 or more can receive both the kitchen towel and tote bag with those para-themed designs. And those are Alien Baby number 1, Alien in UFO number 2, Dark Bigfoot number 3, and Bigfoot Believes in You for number 4. We also have another option. If you donate more than $50 while supplies last, a special gift for Streamathon donors from the publishers at anomalistbooks.com. That's right. Those awesome publishers over at anomalistbooks.com are offering, for a very limited time, donors of $50 or more can receive a free book of the publisher's choosing. You do not get to choose which book. They choose which book they send to you to give to you for free for your donation of $50 or more. So if you are unfamiliar with them, you can go to anomalistbooks.com and check out all the amazing books that they have there. Again, so starting from the top, we've got $25 or more gets you the kitchen towel with one of the 4 para-themed designs. $50 or more gets you the tote bag with one of the 4 para-themed designs. $75 or more gets you the kitchen towel and tote bag with a para-themed design. And those designs are number 1, Alien Baby. Number 2, You Are Not Alone, Alien in a UFO. Number 3, the dark Bigfoot silhouette stitching design, and or number 4, Bigfoot Believes in You. Or if you donate $50 or more, you can receive a book of the Anomalist Books publishers choosing. The towel, tote, and book gifts cannot be combined. They are two separate gift offers. We want you to send your evidence of your donation, your email receipt for your donation, to streamathon@outlook.com. Again, if you are interested in any of these wonderful gifts from supporters of the Anomaly Archives, send your donation, your receipt to the email Streamathon, that's STREAMATHON @outlook.com. Be sure to specify which para-theme design you want for your towel and or tote using these numbers. 1 equals Alien Baby, 2 equals Alien and UFO, 3 equals Dark Bigfoot, 4 equals Bigfoot Believes in You. Or if you are looking for the $50 or more donation from matching gift from Anomalous Books, specify that you want the book. All right. Thank you so much. These are great offers, and we really appreciate all the support from our donors and these great friends of the Anomaly Archives. Thank you. All right, folks. So if you qualify for any of those awesome offers, send your email to streamathon@outlook.com. And coming up this Saturday, as we've said before, is this Saturday, December 26th, starting at 1 p.m. is the launch. I'll say welcome and give you all an update on everything. And then at 1:15 p.m. Central Standard Time, Tim Banal will be discussing People of the Flat Earth, the history of a very odd conspiracy theory. At 2:15 p.m., David Perkins and I will be having a friendly discussion about one of our favorite hypotheses about UFOs, the Gaian hypothesis, UFOs, cattle mutilations, and the Gaian mind. At 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Susan Lepselter will be giving a presentation on dreaming across cultures. At 4:30 p.m., Susan Demeter will be presenting on spook lights as places of paranormal pilgrimage. And at 5:15 p.m., Daniel Allen Jones will be giving a presentation called Myth OS, Mythical Operating System, Investigating Simulation Theory, Non-Human Intelligence, and Unexplained Phenomena. And then at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Stephanie Quick will be discussing Interrogating My Near-Death Experience, The Aftermath of Mystical Awakening. And at 7 p.m., Nikita Kranda will be presenting I Saw Something Weird, a conversation about regular people experiencing something they couldn't explain. And then begins the After Dark Virtual Drive-In Theater. We'll have part 2 of this, and it'll have separate links, so you'll have to switch over to a different stream. At 8 p.m., Ken Adams will have an introduction where I talk with my good friend Ken Adams, a visual artist who is the director and producer of Imaginatrix, the Terrence McKenna Experience, which we will be showing. And then at 10 o'clock, a special screening of the never before seen in public Incredible Midnight Movie Massacre, a low-budget film that I funded and produced, that was written and directed by a good friend of mine, and stars all my good friends from that era, and features a variety of locations across Austin. I've described it as the Slacker of science fiction and horror, and akin to Amazon Women on the Moon and Kentucky Fried Movie because of its use of fake film trailers. That's just about all I'm going to tell you about that. Anyway, okay. Well, thank you all for tuning in tonight. This has just been a informal recap and review of some of this past 5 Saturday Streamathons, 5 weeks of 6 to 9 hours of content every Saturday for free as part of the donation process. We are trying to raise $20,000, our annual budget, for the Anomaly Archives, a 501c3 nonprofit called the Scientific Anomaly Institute here in Austin, Texas. And we are also looking for a new location. We are about to be homeless. Hopefully we won't actually get kicked out, but we are not being allowed to renew our lease at our current location. It's nothing personal. This other nonprofit just needs the space. And so we are searching. So if you have any leads on inexpensive and awesome, quirky locations in Austin, Texas, please send those leads to contact@anomalyarchives.org or go to the website anomalyarchives.org and look for the phone number there, and you can leave voicemail with those leads and information. Thank you so much. Thank you all. I know this is a terribly difficult time for everybody, and I don't know what else to say other than I feel for you all, and I wish the best for you all. And while these subjects may seem in some ways unimportant compared to the everyday issues that we're all facing. They are near and dear to my heart. I think that they're at the core of the types of sacred and profane experiences that have informed the myths of every society on this planet. And I think it's about time that we started trying to better figure out what the hell is going on. And if I can help in that some small way with the preservation of these materials for future generations to help unravel these mysteries, so be it. Good night.